far as making sure everybody's included.
I guess that I guess that's the idea of like everyone's opinions being valued. If if a teacher calls on somebody and somebody offers their opinion on something, then the other classmates like respecting their opinion and not like putting them down because of that.
I would say inclusion in the classroom is including everybody.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's when there's like two teachers and one's a special ed teacher and then the other one's like a gen ed teacher, and then the classroom has both gen ed students and special needs or kids with disabilities or something like that.
Yes, before getting hired here, I worked at Lexington High School where I was a behavior interventionist. So as far as working with different types of students in the high school setting, and before that it was primary school. So I would say I do have a little bit of a background. 2 years primary, 3.5 years high school.
No, I know that at my high school they had a program for kids similar to what they have at Clemson with Clemson Life, but I can't say that I was ever in a class with a student who was, obviously had a disability of some sort that was put into a mainstream class. I've never experienced that.
I don't think so. I want to say I was in like a weightlifting class with an inclusive environment, I think.
No, I don't. I've never been in an inclusive classroom before. I know my elementary school did. I don't think my middle or high school did, but I do remember like seeing something like that or like hearing kids talk about it. But I was never in any inclusion classrooms.
Do I think they benefit from it? Yes. I think it helps them emotionally as far as how they fit in and how they're perceived from classmates. And everybody wants to feel like they're included and not kind of segregated, or I think it's just good for personal morale. I guess that's what I would say.
I think yeah, because I think with like normal students being exposed to some of the challenges that a student with disabilities may have that they don't even think about on a day-to-day basis, I think that kind of opens their eyes and will bring out more compassion in them. And I also think that it's important for people with some disabilities to be surrounded by people who will encourage them with whatever they're learning in the class.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's way better than having them separated, just because like in the real world you're not going to be separated. So I think this is good like experience and good interaction.
I think it's a good thing for everybody, even those kids that are not necessarily subjected to it, or they think it's the norm. It's good for them to experience. The ones that feel like they should be included in more, I just feel like it's a good setting for them at the same time. It creates chances for leadership in the classroom. Those that are followers are always looking for somebody to lead in the classroom, especially at that age, as far as high school goes. And you can kind of pick out what students are the leaders and what aren't, as far as who they're including and what their group setting looks like.
Overall, after learning kind of what it is, I think it's a good thing, because again, it just gives the students with disabilities an opportunity, and it gives the regular normal students an opportunity to bond with kids that they may not normally come in contact with. And I mean, overall, I don't think there shouldn't be any drawbacks to like the material being taught. Like the level of the material being taught should not be diminished just because there's a student with a disability in the classroom. So I mean, overall, I think it's a pretty good thing.
I think it's good.
Good. Why?
Because you're not going to be separated in the real world. Like, you might as well just treat people like they're normal because everybody is normal.
I mean, it's definitely a good thing. Like, I think that, I mean, like I just said, like, you know, they're not going to be separated in the real world, and I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing in like any way.
Why?
I would for sure. Being a coach and, like I said, being an interventionist and working with all types of kids and understanding that not everybody's the same, not everybody thinks the same, and not everybody's brought up the same. We all have different backgrounds, and so to bring all those backgrounds together and that way we can learn from each other, I think inclusion is key. For that reason alone, just learning people, learning behaviors. And learning where you fit in different social environments. So I'm a big advocate for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think again depends on the subject matter and what you're teaching. You may have to tweak some things based off of the comprehension levels of everybody that's in the classroom. But if it was something that I felt like would not, if including a mentally challenged or student with disabilities, including them in the classroom, would not take away from the education of the other students, then yeah, I would be for that.
I would, just because, like I said, like everybody's equal, and like you're not gonna have like people separated in the real world, like yeah, I would.
I mean, as much as like, I mean, I'm elementary ed, but I definitely would run an inclusive classroom just because like I would want my students to have experience with kids with disabilities and kids with special needs. That way, if they like, I think that it would be good for them to like all be friends, and like not just good for the kids with disabilities to have interactions with gen ed kids, but even more so gen ed kids with students with disabilities.
So doing this project, as you can see from the question, what is inclusion in the classroom? I included in the classroom because you got inclusion can mean a lot of things, but no matter if I stated it was in the classroom or not, the answers I got were really interesting and funny. You can tell you can see the confusion over everybody's face, like, I have no idea, and then they start laughing. Um, I got a few right answers, some really wrong answers, but that's okay. Um, Everybody seemed to be in good spirits um, about inclusion in the classroom, whether they have any experience with it or not, or even know what it is. Once I explained it to them, told them what it was, um, they started to remember things in their schools that they had programs implemented in some way, shape, or form, whether it be some PE class or um, anything like that. So they were all on board. They think it's a great idea, which is a great thing, um, no matter the circumstances where they came from. They've come from all over, different backgrounds, different ways of life, and they all saw it the same way, that it was a great thing, which I really like. And the fact that um, almost everybody, I put them in the hypothetical situation of being a teacher and seeing where um, they stood on whether they would partake in teaching a um, inclusion classroom. And I don't think I had anybody say no. I think everybody was very willing to take on that challenge, no matter how complicated it could be or challenging, which is really great to hear.